prepared for it. And I call that worry. Like when we do a treatment, like Diane said, we speak our word is powerful because it's coming from the divine within us and our connection with that and our expression of that. And when we speak our word, we have to trust that it plays out exactly in the right way in the perfect time. And it does. It does. Sometimes it's not in our time, like what we think in our mortal minds of what the right time is, or it doesn't even play out the way we think it's going to play out, but it always plays out in the perfect way. But if we don't trust it, then we start to worry and we start to prepare for failure. And that like negates our treatment totally. It negates our treatment when we speak our word and then prepare for failure. And I think we can probably, most of us, identify with times that we do that. We say we want something and then we prepare for like how it's not going to work out. And it's the game of life. So the game of life, Florence Shinn said, many people consider life a battle. But it's not a battle. It's a game. It's a game, however, which cannot be played successfully without the knowledge of the rules, or what she calls, and what I call, spiritual laws. So if we were to look at life as a game, right? We're moving through life. We're expressing ourselves. We're wanting certain things, we desire things, we want to live more fully, we want to be healthy, we want to be all these things. We say we want it, but there's rules, there's laws that we have to follow. And we can't, it's like when we play a game. We can't play a game and not play by the rules. I'm not a big game player. Sorry, Lolita. But you are. All the game players are here. And you know that when you play a game, you have to learn the rules of the game, and then you can play the game successfully. There's other things too, but first you got to know the rules of the game. And we have a law that we live with. It's called the law of giving and receiving. What we put out comes back. We cannot escape this. So when we say we want a certain thing in our life or we want to live a certain way, we can't say we want to be healthy and then go around telling everybody how sick we are, or how we can't be, how afraid we are of flu season. Or that's the opposite of what you're saying you're wanting. And I don't think we always consciously realize that we're doing that. We sometimes just think that's the way things are, or that's the way, everybody talks. Like, what would we talk about if we didn't talk about flu season or whatever, right? We'd be creative. That's what we'd be. We'd be excited about life. We'd be living our life from that place that Reverend Diane was talking about, of having fun and being creative and living our passions, right? So life is a game, and we have to play by that rule of giving and receiving. And also, when in a game, you have like skills, right? You have skills that you use. In life, you have skills that you lose. You have to learn the rules of the game, and you have to learn how to use your mind in the way the game is played, right? So in life, it's the same way. You have skills. You have spiritual skills that sometimes get left in the background because we worry about the 3D world so much that we're trying to figure things out from the 3D world instead of using our spiritual skills, which are really huge. One of the biggest ones is perception. We have a skill called perception, where we can look at something, a problem, a challenge, and change the way we look at it and change it. We can look at it and change it into an opportunity. For instance, let's say something happens in my life that's tragic. I can look at that and I can say, oh, that's tragic. I'm never going to get over that. I'm going to be mourning for the rest of my life. Or I could use that as a way to go deeper within, because I know that within myself, there's the answer to everything. And there is the answer to that, whatever that is. There is something within me that can meet that and deal with it and live through it and be greater because of it. But I can't do it if I keep saying the same thing over and over. Oh, I'm so sad. I'm never going to get over this. I'm so sad. Or any other thing. You can think of a million things. The other thing we have, the greatest one, well, they're all great, is our imagination. Yay, right? It's the most powerful. All the great scientists and mystics have said, use our imagination. But very few times, not very few times, sometimes we use it in the way I was saying to begin. We use it to worry. We create scenarios of what's the worst thing that could happen on this trip to see my family. You know, and then you start imagining like all the things instead of saying, well, you know, what if I'm going to have a great trip to see my family? What if I'm going to get closer to everybody? What if I'm going to have perfect communication? Whatever it is. And we start to imagine that instead. These are so simple, and they are here. We don't have to go anywhere with them, and for them. We don't have to go to somebody else to get their imagination. We can get inspired by somebody. I got so inspired by Tony Bennett this week. I put it on my Facebook page because it was so exciting. How he started his career when he was 80. I think he came back in his career when he was 80 years old and had this amazing career because he looked at his career with the help of his son in a different way and was able to bridge everything together and make this gigantic comeback. And then just recently, he has Alzheimer's apparently. Has anybody seen the Facebook post I put on? Go look at it. It's so inspiring. And this is the way the brain works. As soon as he starts to sing, he has total memory. So he gave a concert with Lady Gaga. And he walked out on that stage, and he just was Tony Bennett. He was Tony Bennett. And then when he walked on, and he even recognized Lady Gaga when she came on, and then when it was over, he didn't remember it. But I don't know anything about that. I don't know about Alzheimer's. I don't know about it, but I know that there's something to be known about it, and maybe just changing our perception of all these different things, we can heal and we can change our lives and our ways of dealing with it. So, yeah, we can't step back far enough to really know, right? But we can use our imagination in greater, more amazing ways. And we have our intellect. You're all smart. You might not know you are, but like Diane told you, you were creative. You're also smart. We're all smart. But sometimes we don't act like we are. Sometimes we let other people think for us, or we let the powers that be think for us. Not that we're not supposed to follow rules and all of that, but we let them say the way things are when we know better. If we know better, we know because we know from within here. So, thinking. Everybody's thinking, but not everybody's thinking. Everybody's thinking what's out there, and they're thinking from out there instead of thinking from within here. And we are very, very, very smart. We know, and now we're understanding, and we're going to be teaching a class in this, resilience from the heart. We know that our heart knows exactly what to do in every single solitary moment when we take the time to quiet ourselves and actually ask what am I supposed to be doing right now? And that brings up another thing that we have is our intuition, right? Because if we are thinking from the highest place and we're thinking from that place within and we're asking our heart what is the right thing to do right now, then what happens? We can tap into our intuition. Our intuition is not something that we just get to use like happenstance. It's always there for us. And I believe and know, and for myself and for all of us, that this time in our evolution, we're being asked to do that. We're being asked to use our intuition, to use our intellect, to perceive things differently, to use our imagination in greater ways. It's so amazing. And the game of life is so easy to play if we do it that way. It's the only time it becomes a battle is when we start fighting or start trying to make up our own rules, and we can't make up our own rules. There are rules. I don't want to call them rules. They're laws. There's laws of the game, and they're so simple. It's like what we think comes back to us, but not just what we think, what we continually think. And I'm going to bring this up because it's a big thing, and I hear it every day. Everybody tells me they cannot find a home on this island. I do not believe that that is the case. There is a home for everyone. But if we keep saying, I cannot find a home, then all we're going to do is create no home. And it's science. So But the trick is, not trick, but is that we have to know it before it happens. It doesn't happen from the outside, and the game isn't played that way. It doesn't happen like it shows up, and then we get to say, oh, look, I believed that, and it showed up. Because more than likely, if it happens that way, it's not going to last very long. It's just going to dissipate because you don't have the belief underneath it to sustain it. So in order to play the game, you know, we say it, and it sounds like kind of esoteric, but it's really true. Act as if is the truth. Act as if. I mean, Florence Shin says, if you want money, spend money. Yeah. She's proof. She's proof because she's proved it. She tells stories over and over again about all these different people and herself. And she's the reason I got my first house in Los Angeles was because of that book, Florence Shin. I don't even know if we have it in the bookstore, The Game of Life. But yeah, because you have to act as if, and you have to walk out as if. Does that mean you spend money you don't have? No. Credit cards, I'm not promoting credit cards. I'm saying that if you have $1 in your purse and you're afraid to spend it because you're afraid that dollar's not going to come back to you, then what are you doing? You're playing the game of life in the wrong way. And you're going to just get back more of that. I know it. I'm able to say this because I proved it over and over again. And I'm proving it now. I'm learning. Each moment I go deeper and I get more of it. I understand more of it. And then one of the other tools we have is belief. Well, there's no special order to these, but belief is everything. I mean, when Jesus said, it is done unto you as you believe, and millions of other, mystics and have said that same thing. I know it sounds simple, but it is simple. So if you have a belief within you that's countering what you say you want, then the greater belief is the one that's playing out. And it's all about what's in your subconscious, right? They tell us that, although I'm tired of hearing about 95%. We were talking about that the other night. 95% of us is subconscious and 5% of us is conscious or whatever. But the 5% that's conscious gets to decide. It really does get to decide. The subconscious is just freewheeling. It's giving us whatever we give it. So, I mean, this is where spiritual mind treatment comes in, because it's a conscious way of directing our subconscious. And when there's stuff in there that's those niggly wigglies that are countering everything we say we want, if we can treat and continue to pour that into the subconscious, even when it's not showing up, continuing to pour it in, and then walking out, like treating, and like Diane, I'm using you a lot today, but you're a good example today. Thanks, all right. With the job thing, she said. She wanted that job. She didn't just say, oh, I want that job. She actually she did her treatment, then she moved her feet into action. So, yeah, so treatment works, but it also works because we have to put it in action. But sometimes we don't trust our treatments. We don't trust the law because we're not really doing it. There's a power within us that's putting all the pieces together for us. And when we're intuiting that we should go make that phone call or whatever it is, and that's coming from that place, not from a place of fear, but from a place of this is what I want, this or better, we always say this or better, then we've made our treatment more powerful because we're acting as if our treatment really is working, instead of doing our treatment and then worrying that it's not going to happen. Does this make sense? It's so logical, right? It's just so logical, and it's so easy. But it asks a great thing of us. It asks us to step out of the conditional world and step back into ourselves and into spirit and start living our life from there. Because we can't do it the opposite way. We like to try to, but we can't. And there's some people here. Come on in, sit down. I'm sure there's a chair for you. So I want to make sure I got them all. Decision, intellect, belief. Oh, vibration. I got to talk about that for 1 second, and then I'll close this out. But if we're doing all these other things, we're going to be vibrating at a higher level. I mean, I came in this morning, and I was like vibrating really, really well. And I could see everything was vibrating back to me what I was vibrating. So when I'm down here, then that's what I get. It's what I get. It's the law of vibration. And so we get the opportunity. How do we How do we raise our vibration? How do we do it? We all have our different ways, and it's not just about sitting, in your meditation and doing it. You got to be able to take it and walk out into the world with it and look at the world perceiving in a different way and seeing and following your passions, If you're passionate about gardening, garden. If you're passionate about going out and eating, go out and eat. If you're passionate about being with your children, be with your children. If you're passionate about traveling, travel. If you're passionate, whatever you're passionate about, that's going to raise your vibrational level, right? So, it's so simple. It's so simple, guys. So why do we make it so difficult? I'll go back to the original quote. Many people consider life a battle, but it's not a battle, it's a game. It is a game, however, which cannot be played successfully without the knowledge of spiritual law. If we trust those laws, we are living our life knowing that those laws are true. Because sometimes we think they're not. We're doubting them. But if we really honestly look at our life, we will see that our life is exactly what we're thinking. But the good news is we get to change it. We don't have to be stuck with it. We get to change it in any single solitary moment. Karma, about living it over and over again, is our choice. We get to change how we think, how we vibrate, what we believe, all of these things, perceive, all of this stuff. We get to change it in any single solitary moment and get different results. So all I'm saying for myself and for all of us is let's open up and see the more and know the more for ourselves. And this word, like that something's impossible, is not true. Everything is possible. And people before us and around us are proving this. We're proving it in every single solitary moment, that there's only possibility. But we have to be able to let go of the conditional world and all it's telling us and start new. Right here and right now, we are waves and particles, and we are just manifesting in every single solitary moment. And I'm just going to tell you one quick little story because it was so funny. I was with Roseanne on Friday. We had this wonderful idea of going out for lunch and going to the Kauai pond garden. And she said, I want to take you in my electric car. And I said, okay. No, I'm not going to go. I'm going to tell the good part of the story. Because what's interesting about this story is that the night before, I had like a vision of us in her, she hadn't said it yet, of us in her electric car running out of electricity on Kaua'i Highway. I had that vision in my head. So when she said, let's take the electric car, I was like, oh, should we take the electric car? Okay, I said yes. And then as soon as I got into the car, she said, guess what? I forgot to charge the car. I won't say the whole story. And she said, but I think we have enough to get there and get back. And so, but I realized that this was in the field. This is what I'm talking about. It was a wave in the field, and I saw it. That's what our psychic ability is. We see it. We see what's happening. But we get the opportunity to shift it. I could just as easily have said, oh my God, we're going to run out of electricity, blah, 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 blah. But the whole way back, all I kept saying is, we're fine, Roseanne, we're just fine, we're fine. She kept saying, we're fine. We kept looking at the thing, and the voice kept coming on going, you need to find a charging station right now. It was hysterical. But I just kept saying, it's fine. I have no desire to be stuck on Kaua'i Highway with as much as I love Roseanne, sitting there waiting for whatever to pick us up. I don't know what to do when you have an electric car and you're stuck without electricity. But what I'm trying to say is it was in the field, and because I shifted and we shifted, we could have just as easily gone the other way. If I truly believe what I'm saying up here, and I do truly believe it, and it immediately came back to me saying, oh, that's a perfect example of particle and wave, that until we anchor it, that it is only a possibility. And so it's a simple example, and it's not life-threatening or anything, but to me, it proves that idea, that we're particle and wave, and we get to anchor it. So if we use our imagination in all kinds of ways, I say, let's use them. For the highest, let's charge. All right. That's all I have to say. Namaste. Sorry, Roseanne. She'll probably never take me out again, but it's all right.